The first patch of set 8.5 has been out for a few days now, and the meta has stabilized quickly, with multiple comps standing above the rest in the early stages. In this video, I'm going to take you through the tier list for the early meta, give my strategy for climbing on this patch, and then cover how to play all the comps in detail. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. If you're interested in getting better at TFT, then the sponsor of today's video, Tacter, is just what you need. They have a Discord community filled with gamers that want to get better at their favorite game, and they provide a free in-depth library of guides for TFT and other games like League of Legends as well. All the guides they provide are up to date and written by experts like myself. And by joining their Discord, you get access to all of this, and you're able to learn from pros and get your questions answered. Soon, the Tacter platform will be released, where you'll be able to create and share your own guides and make money off of them. If all that sounds interesting, then click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to join, and once you're in, drop this emoji so the community knows where you came from. Taking a look at the tier list, we start off with Vex Reroll, which is a flexible 3-cost reroll comp that caps out incredibly high with multiple different boards, especially with 6 mascots. This comp's main weakness is the prevalence of hacker and requiring specific items to function. Lasercorps Warwick is the most broken comp in the current meta. If you manage to hit an early Mordekaiser or Laser +1, it's incredibly easy to tempo into, but Warwick is often very contested, so make sure to be wary of that. Mech Draven is another overtuned reroll comp with multiple different board variations that often wins out if you hit early enough. If you can't hit Draven 3 though, you're usually headed for a bot 2. Spellslinger Nico and TF is an AP comp that flexes between 2 different carries depending on your items, augments, and what you hit. This comp is great at getting top 4s, but struggles to win without going 9 for Janna, Syndra, and a strong bench. Renegade, Jhin, and Viego is a great high roll comp to play if you have an excess of carry items for both AD and AP. However, you need to go level 8 for this comp, as it's really hard to stabilize with 1-star boards. Anima Squad is the comp that least changed for the mid-set. The comp can run through games with a strong opener, good augments, and an emblem, but struggles hard without these specific things. Brawler Warwick enables him differently than lasers. This comp is much slower paced, as it focuses more on frontline, which allows Warwick to wreak havoc on backlines. However, this comp has multiple bad matchups in the meta and relies on positioning. Dualists were nerfed heavily at the end of PvE, so it's relatively weak at the moment, but if you manage to get 8 Dualists, the 20% damage reduction is very strong, and the comp is still a great tempo option. Infiniteam heavily relies on hitting proper trait breakpoints, and the comp often struggles to do so without a spat. If you have the spat though, the comp becomes much stronger, as you can both reach 7 Infiniteam and clone units like Garen and Fiddlesticks. Now moving on to my strategy for climbing on this patch. 2 carousel items stand out the most on this patch, Bow and Tier. Bow is more consistent, allowing you to play Warwick early game if you have no other direction, while Draven, TF, Jhin, Vayne, and Camille are other great options. Tier is a more swingy item start, but it is the only item that easily flexes into the incredibly broken Vex Reroll comp, as the comp requires blue buff and prefers Archangels, so you can often farm top 2s if you have a decent spot for it. Otherwise, play things like Anima Squad, Nico, TF, or Heart Reroll if you are in a position to do so. Rod, Chain, and Belt are also good options on open and carousel, but Rod forces you to default to A-tier comps in Viego, Nico, and TF, while Chain and Belt sometimes neuter high roll spots for other comps like Draven, Spellslinger, Renegades, or Vex. In the early game, you want to try to win streak and preserve HP as much as possible, or full open for early econ, with direction towards spiking early on 3-2 or 3-5 depending on your items and the comp you intend on playing. Here are a couple of examples of early game AD boards that you can play around. Lasercorps Ashe, 4 Dualists, and Draven with any frontline. And here are some AP boards. Infiniteam or Quick Draw Lucian, Gadgeting Lulu, Spellslinger Lux, and Anima Squad Jinx. Now let's take a look at how to play each individual comp from the tier list. All the comps I'm going through will be linked in an Imgur album that is available for patrons and YouTube members, and the links to join and get access are down below. Vex Reroll can play differently based on your spot. You are always rerolling 2 and 3 costs, so you either want to roll at level 6 or 7, which depends on a couple of factors. First, whether you are in a position to play supers by 3-1, or not. If so, roll at level 6 for the bottom board, then push level 7 once you hit Riftwalker. If not, just roll at 7 and play Riftwalker plus flex units like duplicate 2-cost mascots, Rammus, Aatrox, Echo, or legendaries. If you hit +1 mascot, you should always try to go level 7 for Riftwalkers to get 6 mascots in as soon as possible. Vex's only core item is blue buff. She wants damage otherwise, with Archangels being by far the best. Deathcap, Giant Slayer, and JG are also good options. Tank items usually go on Malphite as he's usually the easiest to 3-star, but they can go on anyone. Spark is the only important one, otherwise don't be greedy. Extra AD items go on Jhin, and extra AP items go on Pyke, especially if you are rich enough to 3-star. Lasercorps Warwick requires 5 Lasercorps to function properly, as it gives a drone to your entire team, pretty rigid, with Garen being the only flex unit, which can also be TF or a legendary unit. You always want to fast 8 with this comp, as you need to hit Warwick 2 and Mordekaiser. The comp is all about survivability for your lasers to deal damage, so Warwick's best items are mostly defensive items like Titans, Edge of Night, Hodge, BT, and QSS. Shiv is also very important once you hit 5 lasers in this comp, to allow them to do more damage. Like Vex, Mech Draven has 2 common boards, the standard Supers board from set 8, and the Hacker variation, where you send them down the middle and into the backline. Roll at level 7 for Draven 3, then push levels aggressively for 5 Mech and any other flex units. Draven's best items are Last Whisper, IE, and a healing item. Runons, Rageblade, Giant Slayer, and Titans are playable, but they are not as good. Spellslinger boards want to roll at level 8 to fit in the entire board, but you can roll at 7 and drop Nico or 2 Oxforce units and carry LeBlanc and Sona until you hit. The ideal max cap is to drop Sona and Echo for Syndra and Janna, and adding a Nuna at level 9 while holding Fiddle on the bench. Prioritize making Shred in either Spark or Shiv and remain flexible if possible with your carry items. JG, Guardbreaker, and Gunblade are great on both of them, especially JG, while Rageblade is great on TF and Sojin is great on Nico. Tank items go on Viego, Annie, or Echo. Renegade is a great comp to play when you have a bunch of carry items and little tank items. This comp really requires hitting Jhin 2 and especially Viego 2, so rolling at level 8 is much preferred. +1 Renegade is great for this comp, allowing you to drop Camille for Syndra or other legendary units. Jin's best items are Last Whisper, Deathblade, IE, Runons, and Giant Slayer, while Viego wants Spark, a healing item, and any AP item like JG, Deathcap, or Titans. Anima Squad is a flexible comp that can be played around multiple different carries depending on your hero augment. This is the standard board, but if you have Spreadshot Vayne, play Nyla over Kai'Sa, and play Gnar with +1 Prankster, and put Anima spats on Aatrox, Garen, or Echo. MF's best items are Sojin, JG, Guardbreaker, Archangels, Deathcap, and Gunblade, while Vayne's best items are Sojin, Deathblade, IE, Guardbreaker, Gunblade, and Giant Slayer. There are multiple variations of Brawler Warwick, but this is the standard one, which has Warwick and Jax as duo carries. This board prefers HP stacking admin, and augments like Big Data. Without them, consider dropping 6 Brawlers for Hacker or Mech if you can 3-star Jax. This board usually wants to roll level 8, but rolling at 7 is amazing if you're angling for Jax 3, especially with +1 Anbin or Brawler. Jax's best items are RFC, Rageblade, Titans, QSS, and a healing item, while Warwick's best items are Titans, Runons, Edge of Night, IE, QSS, Last Whisper, and Hodge. Duelist is a purely tempo comp. 4 Duelists are incredibly strong on stage 2, and 6 Duelists give you 10% damage reduction, which you usually hit on stage 3. Typically, you always want to roll when you have multiple things you can hit to spike your board, so do this aggressively to keep tempo, as Duelists cannot top 2 without a Spat and High Roll or Vayne 3 and Nyla 3. Normally, you will roll on either 3-2 or 3-5, then again on 4-1 to continue upgrading your board. Lockets are the biggest priority for this comp, as it provides more than enough frontline for your comp to run over opponents if you are stronger. TF needs Shiv, his other best items are Giant Slayer, Deathcap, JG, Guardbreaker, and Hodge. Vayne's best items are Deathblade, IE, Last Whisper, Hodge, Sojin, Guardbreaker, Giant Slayer, and Runons. Last up we got Infiniteam. This comp is only good with +1 Infiniteam, as you can't get 7 without it. Nor can you hit 5 early in the mid game without the spat. Just play 5 Infiniteam by dropping Lucian and adding a frontline unit like Aatrox and play for top 4. This comp usually wants to roll at level 7 for 5 Infiniteam and a couple upgrades, then push level 8. Itemize TF and Samira, or Sivir until you hit ultimate S-roll. TF's best items are Shiv, Rageblade, and Gunblade, which is especially good to heal up our 3 item clones in the frontline. Ultimate S-roll's best items are Last Whisper, Rageblade, IE, Sojin, Deathblade, Giant Slayer, Hodge, and Guardbreaker. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for you to members and patrons, and links to those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.